She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We are all so very blessed that you decided to join us today. Oh, today we are going to have some fun. Yes, we are. Hey, you know that here on the Dani Johnson Show, we are about helping you become more successful in every area of your life. And you not living according to society's version of success, but that you define success for you. And you live it according to that definition, according to the calling that is calling out of you. There's something you were put on this earth to do. There was something that only you can do. And therefore, your destiny is what that is. But if you're trying to live somebody else's version of success and somebody else's definition of it, well, then you'll not reach your fullest, your potential, what you were called to this earth to do. So today we are actually going to have a guest join us right from the very beginning in this very first segment. And it is somebody that I've had the chance to watch over the last 5 years really blossom and grow into something dynamic. And yes, he was something dynamic before he came and attended his first steps to success, which is our live 3-day training seminar. A very successful man in the workforce. He's actually had 30 years experience in the retail industry and has managed in excess of 100 employees at a time. That to me is crazy. Somebody that has that ability, I have an outrageous amount of respect and honor for. Obviously, he's a very successful man. Fortunately, we've been so very blessed. He's now a part of our corporate team. His name is Butch McCracken. He and his wife, Diane, came to First Steps to Success 5 short years ago. They brought their 2 daughters along with them, Elena and Sam. They were 16 and 9, I believe, at the time. So we've watched this entire family now pay off over $200,000 worth of debt. He grew in his career. He and his wife actually had sat the kids down shortly before they attended First Steps to Success to split up. They were having a meeting with the kids saying that, our marriage isn't working and we're done. So the good part of it is that their whole marriage was restored. He grew in leadership. He's now running marathons. He was the lazy guy on the couch after work, hardworking at work, but just like lazed out as soon as he got home from work. And he found a new passion and drive for life as a direct result of getting involved in a brand new community of people, the people that maybe or you're part of that, the people who've graduated through our First Steps to Success, as well as our Advanced Leadership Conference, Creating a Dynasty. So today's conversation concerning success is this, do you have one of these nasty little habits that perhaps is hurting you on the job? The reason why I'm bringing in Mr. McCracken is because he's been watching people and helping people to succeed in their professions for a very long time as a general manager of a huge $90 million gross profit store. That's a huge amount of responsibility, and managing that many people's excuses, their lives, not to mention the customers and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, he has amazing experience. And so if you can help me, first of all, pay very close attention to Mr. McCracken. He's going to be joining us right here live in the studio, and he and I, for this entire show, are going to hear from a couple of callers. We're going to identify some places that certain habits can actually hurt you from becoming successful in the workplace, which actually hurts you from becoming successful financially. It can hurt you at home. It can hurt you as a parent, hurt your health. This one sneaky little thing, laziness, that you might not even think that you got. Because how do you define laziness? Is laziness your picture of laziness? The guy with his bag of Cheetos, which sounds so good right now, his 12-pack of Bud Light, watching a ball game? Is your version of laziness the woman with the messy bun, the baggy sweats? She's sitting down with her cell phone in her hand, just paying attention to videos on YouTube and watching reading whatever's going on Facebook, while her house is a complete disaster? She hasn't even looked up to see that it's a disaster. The trash needs to go out. Dishes need to be washed. Her husband is slaving at work all day long to provide, and yet her house is a disaster. Laundry hasn't been done. She's not taking care of herself. Is that your version of lazy? Maybe there's some places that you can up your value by simply taking a really good look and maybe evaluating yourself. Maybe even putting yourself through a review, kind of like a corporation that does reviews once a quarter, as we do inside of our company. As we do this show, look at yourself and go, you know what? There's some places I think I can improve. And if I improve those areas, wow, I can't imagine where I'm going to be. So welcome to the show, Mr. Butch McCracken. So, Butch, you've seen a lot in 30 years of managing employees. And you were really young when you first became a manager. In fact, were you 19 when you became a manager?
18.
So you were managing people that were like older than you.
Yes.
Okay. So we're talking about laziness. And what I want you to do is kind of shed some light from a general manager standpoint of what does that actually look like in employees. I mean, some of it's obvious, right? But I think there's some people that they actually think that they're not lazy. They actually think that they're more valuable to the workplace than what they really are. Yes. And so recently we just did reviews with our own team.
Yes, we did.
And we were talking about, we have these 4 different places to be graded. Needs improvement, meets expectations, often exceeds expectations, and then always exceeds expectations. And I remember you telling me a story of somebody who said, I'm an AE.
Yes.
Always exceed expectations. How come you graded me as an ME, a meets expectations?
Yes.
Talk about that guy.
So one of the things that people mistake as an always exceeds the expectations as compared to meeting the expectations is doing the everyday job. So the easiest example that I like to give to people is that when it comes down to attendance and punctuality, right? So somebody gets some meets and they say, no, I'm better than that. I always exceed the expectations. And I'll say, fair enough. Tell me why do you feel that you always exceed that area? Well, I come to work on time. Our breaks are only 15 minutes. I know, Sally, she'll take 3 extra minutes, or I'm always back at 15 minutes, at 30 minutes for my lunch. I don't stay late, causing overtime. And my response to that is, that's the expectation of the job. That's not going up and above, because every time we call you to come in to replace something or call out or the extra work, you can never make it. Whenever there's weekend work that's available, you're always turning it down because you have things going on.
Right.
Those are what constitute up and above.
Right.
That take you from a meets expectation to an always exceeds.
Okay, what about the guy that you were telling me about that had been at that company for, was it, 18 years or something like that, a really long time, and he came to you and he said, I deserve a raise.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay. So a lot of times people feel because they have tenure, they deserve...
What's tenure?
Okay.
Tenure? For us everyday average people.
Tenure is amount of time that you have with a company.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, absolutely. So, whether you have 6 months, 6 years, 30 years, whatever it is, there's a mindset with a lot of people that because I've been here so long, I deserve more money. I'm entitled, I should make, X, Y, and Z. So I always love to go back to them and talk about the position that they do and that is the pay scale for that position, right? So they say, okay, but I deserve more money for what I do. So I give them options. Well, tell me, here's a few positions that you can do that you'll need to increase your skill level, but they pay more money. So the ball's in your court. And I never hear back from those individuals at all. It's a quick fix because they don't want to do anything more to earn that money. Yep. They just feel that I've been here 23 years. You and I were talking earlier, and I said, when I first started in management, and I talked to my direct manager, who was a general manager of the building I worked at, he told me, he said, Butch, listen, every Friday, which was payday, we're even, okay? Whether you have 6 months or 30 years, I owe you up until Friday. Yep. But Friday comes, we're even, and then we start over. So I don't owe you anything. And he wasn't indignant about it, or it was a casual conversation. Here I am 30 years into this, and I remember that from when I was 18.
That's really powerful, actually. And I kind of wish that every boss would have that kind of conversation, because entitlement seems to be something that has really flourished in our society today. And I'm sure it was big, 30 years ago also, but there's just something that has happened where people feel entitled to more just for showing up. And the reality is that if you want to get paid more, you have to increase your skill to a higher level. To get a raise, you have to raise your skill, and therefore you're raising your value out there in the marketplace. We've seen it forever. I mean, I've been employing people for 25 plus years, and I've seen the same thing, where it's just because I'm here, I should be entitled. Or they hear about other companies that do raises. That's great. You have to earn that raise. It's just showing up is not it. And so talking about laziness, we see this laziness at home and we see laziness in the office. I mean, all of us have a tendency to kind of go in that place. And laziness in the beginning can seem like it's like, kind of rewarding. I'm just taking a load off. I'm just relaxing. But you used to be the guy who used to come home from work and just like lays out on the couch.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
I tell you, I was a guy that felt, I put in my 9, 10, 12 hours a day and come home from work and not engage with the family, not engage with my wife. My wife was the best because it fell on deaf ears until I made a decision to change. But she would always say to me, we don't deserve the leftovers. Ooh. Okay? You did work all day. I don't come home and she doesn't, check out and isn't involved at all. So when I come home, I need to be involved with the family.
Yes.
That's the right thing to do as a father. Well, I wasn't like that. Period. I wasn't.
We're going to show pictures of the guy that you were then.
Oh, no.
Because you actually gained weight and...
Oh, when I look at those pictures, my wife will tell you, I've said to her, you photoshopped some other guy's head on there. That's not me. I really didn't believe that was me. People at work, when they saw the transition, they would politely, I remember one lady said to me, Butch, previously you were a little swollen. And I said, what? And she goes, I'm so sorry. I'm just want to bring to your... And I said, that's okay. It's true. Okay. And I would leave that big picture. We had managers' pictures up on the wall. And I would leave that big picture as a reminder to never go back to it until one day, after about a year or so, my boss said to me, get a new picture up there. So I had to take a new picture.
So one of the things that you did was you started running marathons.
Yes.
Which is one thing, and you're continuing to run and keep yourself fit, and which to me, I think people in management should be fit. I think that people in leadership should represent discipline instead of laziness. Represent self-control in parts of their lives. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to continue with more with Butch McCracken right after this.
Are you ready for a spanking? After the break, Dani and Butch are going to kick over some common misconceptions about laziness right here on The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you. If you've ever wanted to make millions, change the world, be the voice for the voiceless, and have a blast doing it, then you need to spend some time with this lady right here. She's been doing it for years, and she'll show you how. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
We're talking about laziness, how it impacts you at the workplace and at home. Is it helping you or is it hurting you? Joining me here on the set today is Butch McCracken. He's actually general manager of our corporation, Destiny Global, and DaniJohnson.com. But he was a manager for 30 years for a huge retail outlet that was producing $90 million, just his store, $90 million a year. He managed over 100 employees, which to me is enough to pull all your hair out. I had to. Anyway, so Butch was one of those guys that he would put in his 9 to 12-hour days and then come home and give his wife the leftovers, and was sitting on the couch watching his television, not engaging as a husband or a father. He changed all that when he came to First Steps to Success. Now as a marathon runner, lost those 30 pounds, even had the customers, when they saw the transformation happening, and said, "Boy, you were a little swollen back then. You look so much better." I love that testimony. Anyway, joining me also, we have Mary Jones on the line from Oklahoma. She also has a statement about laziness that she's seeing in the home. Go ahead, Mary.
Thank you. No, I just really would like some advice on how to deal with everyone's laziness, because I'm the one that's up at 6:30 every morning, especially on weekends. I still get up early. They want to sleep till lunch. Then they want to play on the computer, their phones and all that. And I don't really know as a mom or a wife how to deal with it, because it's everybody in the house except one of my children. So do you have any advice?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'll let Butch jump into that conversation too from the husband perspective. But as a wife, it would be really, really important for you, in my opinion. I'm certainly not an expert in this department, but I've been sleeping with the same guy for 25 years. We have 5 kids and 7 grandkids, and we've helped a lot of people. In fact, I don't know, do you have the book called Grooming the Next Generation for Success?
I do, and I have the DVDs, and I have watched them, and I try to do that on my own.
Whoa! You just opened your mouth and inserted your foot with a 3-letter word.
Right, yes.
You just opened your mouth and inserted your foot because, look, in your opinion, everyone else is lazy because they don't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, because they spend their time on their devices and on the computer. But you just told me in different words with that 3-letter word, try. Yes, I have the information, Dani. And I try to use it. What are you really telling me?
I'm not implementing it very well.
You're not disciplined with implementing it. Just as your family's not disciplined with what you think they should be disciplined with. So you got to make a decision. If you really want your life to change, because you actually are the director of those kids. So you determine how much time they get on the screen. You determine how much time they watch TV, how much time they're on the computer, how much time they're on their devices. How old are your children?
I have a 20-year-old, a 16-year-old, an 11 and a 12 and 11.
Can you tell me why the 20-year-old is still living with you?
He goes to college, and he is home for the summer.
Okay. And so in order to stay home as an adult man, there are some requirements. And here's how you're going to contribute as a man into this household. These are the requirements. And if you do not want to do these requirements, you could totally choose to get your own apartment and buy your own food and cook for yourself and do your own laundry. Does that make sense, Mary?
Yes, and I have done that, but when you don't have a husband on board and he does not agree with you, then there's strife there.
Then what does he agree to?
Well, he's the one that allows that. Because
No, but hold on. You didn't answer the question.
Okay.
What does he agree to? So he believes that his 20-year-old son should be lazy and messy, and it's not a problem with his manhood to have no responsibility?
He doesn't see a problem with it.
Okay.
That's my problem with it, because he doesn't have one, and I can't be the mom that I want to be.
Well, first of all, your son is 20. He's no longer 9. So there's a big difference there.
Right.
He's a roommate at this point. Hold the line. Let's continue this conversation. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
It's time for a checkup from the neck up. Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered, because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, First Steps to Success in Creating Dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in 2 completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
And prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college. And I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role and that I had actually taken my husband's. And it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what? We need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
Straight talk, real answers. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, so you have a 20-year-old that's home for summer. He wants to leave his underwear on the floor. He wants to be a mess. The husband isn't supporting it. That's exactly where Mary finds herself right here today. So, Mary, did you say you had 4 children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the younger kids, the 16-year-old, the 9-year-old, and did you say 8-year-old?
No, I have an 11 and a 12.
11 and 12. Wow, I really got that wrong. Okay, so with the younger ones, you have the authority as the mother to help groom them according to the manuscript that you have in your hand. And it doesn't matter if you have the husband support or not. I promise you.
Okay.
You have a relationship with those kids. You're with those kids more than he is, and don't put him down because he has a different way of the way that he wants to live. But your job with your conviction is to lead those children with the right influence that you are convicted to lead with. Your husband doesn't have to come to the table. It's so much better when he does, no question. But there are plenty of households, and not to mention divorce households, right? Where there is, parents living in separate houses, and, the mother or the father does all that he can to groom the next generation according to that manuscript, that book, and the video, and then, the kid goes to the other parent's house and it's all for loss. No, it's not all for loss. I promise you. What's going on is that you're using your husband as an excuse to not follow the book and the audios. That's what's going on. You're wanting him to come to the table. Well, let me ask you a question. How long have you guys been married?
20 years.
Honey, in 20 years, how often does he come to the table?
Very seldom.
So why in the world are you expecting the heavens and the earth to move?
Good question.
Right? So what happens is that the wives will tend to nag their spouse. And when you nag him, all it does is push him in rebellion much further away from the direction in which you are wanting there to be cohesive planning, unity, harmony, and all that stuff. He is not your child. He is a man. And you need to let him be a man. And the conversation that you can have is, honey, it would really be helpful if you would be willing to hear me out and be willing to support me on a couple of things. I know you don't need to support me in all things, but I want to pick maybe just one thing that you'd be willing to support me on. And if it's not that, then can I come to you with maybe a second thing to where you'd be able to help back me in some of these things that I'm trying to make improvements to bring a little more harmony, a little less stress, and that I feel like I'm doing a good job as a mom. Can you have that conversation?
Yes.
Okay, now, Butch, I want you to speak to the other side, the husband side.
Okay.
Was Diane ever a nag to you?
You know what? She wasn't a nag. She had some pretty strong convictions about things, but I was zero support to her. Kind of what you're experiencing now. And I got to tell you, it was my wife's diligence and my kids, actually. It's a pretty emotional thing for me to think about, was they were why I turned around. I love to tell wives, stay the course. It's not a quick fix. Danny's right, 20 years. I've been married 23 years. People ask my wife, how long you've been happily married for 23 years? She'll say, no, 15. And I agree with that because I didn't come to the table. And finally, I realized what they were doing, and I realized that I need to get on board. I need to be of support. I have my kids coming to me wanting a relationship. I have my wife coming to me wanting a relationship. So therefore, I need to start bringing my 50 bricks in and stop making it about me. But I tell you, when I got pushed on or we had our little discussions about that kind of stuff, it just pushed me away. But when I saw the action, it took a little bit of time, but I tell you, it helped change me.
And what do you mean the action? Like, what action did they bring to the table that made you want to make those changes?
So something like this, she might, we have a 14-year-old who loves to sleep in, but my wife has set some nice parameters up around that, okay? So rather than just let her continue to fight the battle, occasionally she'll say to me, hey, would you mind going up? I've tried to talk to Sam. She's rather than come to me and say, she just sleeps in all the time, she's this, she's that, she'll go, no, I think she needs to get up at 9, or I think she needs to get up at this time to start, whether it's chores, she's homeschooled, things along those lines. So therefore, I'll get on board because I don't want her to always be the bad guy. So I'll go in and
So rather than Diane griping at you,
yes,
she's asked for help.
She's asked for help.
Okay.
Yep.
Mary, there's a big difference with that. You know what I mean? All of us wives have definitely used the gripe. The gripe, the mope, the stay away from me. Don't you even think about it, buddy? She's snickering. Did you hear that? Mary, we've done it. And by the way, that's all straight up manipulation. It is. I'm sorry to say it, but it really is. Right? You want sex and you have not helped me with my kids. Right? Yeah, we've done all of those. But it's more of respecting him enough to ask for his wisdom, ask for his point of view, ask for how he would suggest that you handle it. Oh, Mary, I know. Just if I could see you right now, I know you just went red. You're like, what?
Can I interject something too, Jen? So one of the things that happened was Diane, she finally, now it's to the point where my ego got out of the way, where I'm the head of the household and I run this household.
And she treated you. She now treated you as though you were the head of the household.
Yes.
Instead of you were her son.
Correct. She absolutely did.
Or her employee.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of times what I felt. Come home, we got a problem, here's what we do, you deal with it. What's the next problem? I can't fire my daughter. I can't fire my wife. I would not want to, dear, if you're listening in. But
she's listening.
No, but now the kids will come to me and say, Dad, can we I want to do X with a friend. And I'll say, go ask your mother. And they'll say, well, why do we always got to ask Mom? And I'll say, I don't know the plans. Mom runs this household. I don't run the household. Okay, so I don't want to interfere with whatever Mom's, I don't like to use the word rules, but whatever Mom's desires are for the house to keep it running smooth. She's involved with you a lot more than I am because I'm away at work. So that's why I defer to your mother. I could easily make the decision. And I used to when it was driven by ego. But now that it's driven by respect and understanding, what my wife's position is, it's much easier in the household.
So if you're treating your husband, and Mary, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying I used to do this. I tried all those other forms to try to get his attention, and it just never worked. And then it was, okay, if he's the CEO of the house and I'm the president of the house, we're co-founders of the household, and we have different responsibilities. You know, I find that my husband really likes it when I come to him for advice.
Yes. Yes.
And that I call him my advisor. He is my advisor, both business and in the home, versus just whining about so-and-so that's not getting up, or so-and-so that's not doing their chores, or so-and-so that's spending too much time. That just instantly causes other people to just tune out. So, Mary, I hope that was helpful and beneficial. The other thing I want to tell you, and this is really important, Mary, and I know this is going to really help you. It took me the longest freaking time to come along on this one. And here it is that my husband is a different person. And he does not have to see things my way, and he doesn't have to agree with my opinion, and he doesn't need to do things my way. And he does things that I do not see, and he thinks things that I do not have access to his head. I was amazed. One time he but he really got my attention with this statement, because I used to just shove in his face that he didn't pursue God enough, right? Mm-hmm. I was the self-righteous one, like, he doesn't pursue God enough, he's just, he's just like, so work, and I've been pursuing God for all this time. I'm so spiritual. No, that's called wicked and evil. Well, Mary, check this out. He said to me one day, he goes, how do you know how long I pray? How do you know how often I do pray? How do you know whether or not I read my Bible? How do you know? Are you God? And I was like, good point. I made assumptions and judgments against my husband. I assumed there were certain things he was not doing, and I assumed there were other things that he was doing. The judgments out of my heart from really my childhood, really from there, the judgments I had against my stepfather that raised me. I saw Hans in that same light, and I felt the same way about Hans that I had felt about my stepfather, which was not good. And I treated him and talked to him as though he was my stepdad. And that was incredibly unhealthy. When I got healed from that, and I chose to honor the headship of the household, and I chose to see him as a trusted advisor who loved his wife, who loved his children, who was learning how to be a husband, just as I was learning how to be a wife. He was learning how to be a man as I was learning to be a woman. These things don't come natural, as much as people like to tell you that they do not come natural. It's a journey. It's a finding out. It's a self-discovery. And then it's training. If you're willing to submit and surrender, then you allow yourself to be trained. But it took me a while before I just surrendered, and I began to ask God to teach me about my husband. And I wanted to learn his heart and how he felt about things. So I no longer was just whining and griping or telling him what I needed him to do, but I started asking him questions and telling him how he felt about things and what his perspective was on this. And I began a journey of learning about the man that I was sharing a bed with, that I made babies with. And it changed everything for us, because now it wasn't I'm being his mom or his boss, but I became his girlfriend, interested in his mind. And that began to start bringing us together. Hopefully that's been helpful, Mary. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
When we come back, Dani shows Mary another side to the issue with her son, and it might be the answer you've been looking for. Stay tuned to the Dani Johnson Show. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, I was a depressed, hopeless, suicidal drug addict. I had no vision for my life. I absolutely hated people, hated myself. I felt shackled by my debt, and I had toxic relationships. Since plugging in, I've been drug-free for almost 18 months. I paid off nearly $14,000 worth of debt in 14 months. I have completely restored my relationships with my friends and my family. I have a vision for my life now, and I'm actually live and not exist anymore. So I don't know if you have debt or not, or if your life's going perfectly the way you want it to go. But if not, I highly recommend you get registered today for the next First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were just lost. We had no hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and we were drowning in debt. After coming to First Steps to Success and plugging into DaniJohnson.com, our income has doubled. We have paid off over $76,000 of debt in just 45 months. My husband and my communication skills have just raised us through the roof, and my husband has cut back his hours, making more income. If you want results like these, you better get to First Steps to Success.
I have been plugging into Dani Johnson for the last 8 years, believe it or not. And people say, why so long? Well, because there's a lot to do in life, and it has changed every area of my life. My business has exploded, my spiritual life has been unmatched, and my relationship with my wife and my family has just been fantastic. We've paid off over $200,000 of debt in just 2 years. We're debt-free, and I just could not be happier. But if you want to change any area of your life, whether it's your business, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your financial situation, or getting out of debt, or your spiritual life, I would tell you, you cannot afford to miss First Steps to Success. It's just been a blessing to me and my family. So I really invite you to just get online and get your ticket to the next First Steps to Success. Thank you very much.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
There's things that you and I do every single day that are either helpful and beneficial for our future, or they are helpful and beneficial to our failure. So if you want failure, there's a certain recipe, if you will, that leads to failure. And if you want success, there's a certain recipe that leads to success. This is Butch McCracken. He's my coworker. He's the general manager of Destiny Global, our company, DaniJohnson.com, who formerly managed 100 employees for a large retail outlet that did $90 million in gross sales every single year. He had a huge amount of responsibility over people, as well as he was a husband and a father who was failing in those areas, succeeding at work, failing at home, came to First Step Success and creating a dynasty. They've been coming for 5 solid years, and they have an incredible transformational story. So he's joining me in today as someone with a lot of experience of dealing with people, dealing with people's failures, dealing with laziness on the job. And so we're having that discussion of, wow, figuring out what do I have to do in order to succeed better at work as well as at home. We've got Sanachi on the phone. Hansen from the United Kingdom. Welcome to the show, and I understand that you've got a question. You're kind of at a quandary. You don't know if it's laziness you're struggling with or failure that you're struggling with. Welcome to the show all the way from the UK.
Thank you. Hi, Dani.
Hi.
My issue was about exercising, and I know that I need to. And the thing is that a few years ago, I used to do it. I was very self-motivated. I'd put on a DVD, wake up 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd work out for 30, 40 minutes. And then certain things happened, and I kind of lost that thing of exercising, lost the habit, but I want to come back to it now.
Hold on a minute. But hold on one second, Sanachi.
Okay.
How did you ever start exercising?
How did I start?
Because you didn't come out of the womb exercising.
No.
So what made you start it?
I think I was running for the bus one day, and I thought, I'm kind of puffed out. I was struggling, so I thought, actually, I need to kind of do something to make myself a bit fitter.
Okay.
So that's what drove me into doing the exercise.
Okay, so let's stop right here. So what is causing you now to restart again? If you were to go chase a bus... If you were to go chase a bus...
For the bus again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, running for the bus again and climbing the stairs and huffing and puffing and thinking, I'm going to die before I get to that top stair. and it's actually worse because the thing is I'm actually very slim, so people look at me and think, oh, you must be
you're
really
in shape.
fit and everything.
Yep.
But I actually know that I'm not because I can tell.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
I can tell I've done something, or I pick up the phone because I've rushed to the phone, and somebody said to me, why are you breathing so hard? And I said, well, actually, I'm ashamed to tell you that I've just rushed across the room. And it's half killed me. So, I knew that was happening.
Are you single?
No.
You're married.
Well, actually, no, I lie. I am single. My husband died a few years ago.
Oh. When did you stop working out?
When did I start working? About 4 years. 4 years ago, I'd say. So about just before he died.
Did he have a sickness right before he died?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'm so sorry about your loss.
That's okay. Thank you.
It's terrible, but it sounds to me that a tragedy is what got you off track. It sounds also to me that
a lot of instability.
Exactly. And so what happens when a tragedy hits our life, we get off track. And when we get off track, all it takes is a decision to get back on track. And don't compare your last high of your physical fitness with your starting with the huffing and puffing heading up the stairs. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm doing because about a couple of months ago, I put on the DVD that I used to use before, and I was dying within the first 5 minutes. I thought, I really was. It was just so hard. I actually had to sit down and just watch it, and I think even watching the people exercising was tiring me out. And I just thought, how am I ever going to achieve what I achieved? And I think that's again another thing that's putting me off because I'm thinking I'll just never get to that level.
But you know that's not true. Sanachi, you know that's a lie. Because when you first put on that DVD, how many years ago, that thing pooped you out then. You have to build. Exactly. So again, it's going back to the truth because that thought process is, I'll never get it. I'll never be able to get back what I lost. No, you're talking about the death of your husband. That's the emotion that you're talking about. You're right. You're never going to get him back here on this earth. But that is not to say that whatever it is that you lost during that time, that you're never going to get it back. When you first started working out, you were pooped out in the first 5 minutes and you were exhausted watching those people. That same exact process is happening today. It is natural and it's normal. I want to go over here, Butch, to you, because out of nowhere, you started running marathons.
Yes.
Once you figured out that you were, just this...
Swollen.
You became the swollen guy who was not fit, managing 100 people, right?
Yes.
And unengaged. You were not engaged with your family.
Correct.
What was that like? Marathon's pretty intense.
It is.
What was the hardest part about starting that?
Okay, so after we came out of a dynasty.
Which, by the way, is our Advanced Leadership Conference. It's a 3-day conference. It's very, very intense, get over your stuff kind of a thing.
Yes, lots of stuff. And when you don't think you have stuff, you've got stuff.
You got stuff. And then as well as designing your life, figuring out how do you want to live this thing out. And obviously, you sitting there with your, notepad next to your belly, that must have become one of your goals.
Yes. So you get home and you look around and you go, well, we don't have any television. Now what am I going to do? So I thought, all right, let me go running. And I got to tell you, I understand what you mean about being exhausted. I might have gotten within 50 feet in my first run and had a few choice words of frustration, and this is ridiculous, and what am I trying to do? And then scared to death, signing up for different races. I've got to be motivated with that. Actually sitting in front of the computer, having everything filled out, and just not ready to push send to make that commitment. So realize I saw one time there was a picture, and it was somebody struggling to do one push-up. And it said on there, it said, remember, one day, this will be your warm-up.
Yeah.
And that is so true, that you have to look at what you felt like and focus on that.
Yep.
Back when you were doing your exercising,
Yes.
how did that make you feel? And then you'll continue to create that habit, and you'll make that happen.
And the other thing, Sanachi, is that it's baby steps, and it's celebrating the fact that you turn it on for 5 minutes. I did it for 5 minutes. Tomorrow, I want to do it for 6 minutes. Okay, and a week from now, I want to make it to 6 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, a month from now, I want to make it to 10 minutes. Success is about one baby step in the right direction. And then when you mess up, the very next action you take is the right action. So it's the same like with food and dieting and things of that nature, is that when we make up our mind to say, okay, it's all or nothing, okay, well, you have to give yourself some grace. So in the day that's like, you know what, I'm just too tired, I just can't do it today, okay, oh well. Then that means that the very next day, you're like, I'm in. And there's no excuse, I have to make this happen. So you got to celebrate those small little accomplishments, because those small things build onto something bigger and more important. And all is not lost. Those years that you worked out did something good for your health. Now it's time to push it and go for it. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Change your habits, change your future. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So I just want to give you a little bit of my story. This is my first time sharing my story on stage, so I'm a little nervous. But I'm excited. I was just asked, like, seriously 3 minutes ago to share my story, so we'll see how this goes. So my name, like Ray said, my name's Carradine Roundy. I am from Wyoming. Is there anyone else from Wyoming here? Yeah! I was thinking, I'm like, I think I'm the only one that I've met from Wyoming. That's cool, I'm glad. So prior to plugging into Dani Johnson and First Steps to Success, my husband and I were completely drowning in debt. We got this new job and we increased our income, so we increased our way of living, which is what happens. And we were young, we were just married, and we completely bought more than we needed. We bought a new house, we already had a truck loan, we bought a new car, we lived to the max. And our marriage started to struggle. And we got to where all of our fights were about money constantly. And my husband had a really good job, so we had plenty of money. That was not the issue. It was that we never kept any of it. We spent it on stuff we didn't need. So just a little bit of background. There's just my husband and I, we have no kids, and we bought a 6-bedroom house. I know. Well, that's just, we had the money. The bank told us we had the money we could, so we did. And so obviously we spent the money to fill those rooms in that house on stuff we didn't need. So anyways, our marriage was failing. I mean, we were young, we just got married, and all of our fights were over stupid stuff that was unnecessary. And so I remember one time, just like a quick little look into what it was like. I remember one time sitting in front of our fireplace, our nice fireplace in our nice house, and we were fighting over how we were gonna pay for Christmas for our families. And that was the eye-opener for us, that something had to change. And so we made a decision, and I started a business, and that's what actually opened me up to DaniJohnson.com and to First Steps to Success. And so after coming out of First Steps to Success, we have now been able to pay off, this is crazy, we have now been able to pay off just over $300,000, which is completely crazy because we just thought debt was something that you live with. You know, you're always gonna have a mortgage, you're always going to have a house payment, car payments. That's just the way life goes. And little did we know that that's not the case. So we now live in a smaller house. We love it, We actually, I have less house to clean, which I'm good with. And we live so much more simple. And our marriage is completely turned around. We no longer fight about money. We wonder where we're going to invest into next and how soon we're going to get, the mortgage paid off. And that's exciting to us. So everything's just completely changed. And, the relationships that we've been able to grow with other people that are wondering what we're doing, that's been amazing because we've met so many great people, and learning what Dani's going to teach this afternoon has helped us grow to being people more than anything. And that, we hated people before, both of us. We never had those skills. And so I'm really excited for this afternoon. This afternoon's going to be completely transforming to you. As far as being, like she mentioned this morning, your business is people, your business isn't your product. And so with that being said, I just want to have you help me welcome back my mentor and America's favorite millionaire, Dani Johnson.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Yesterday is yesterday. A year ago is a year ago. 5 years ago is 5 years ago. It does not make a play for your tomorrow, for your next week, next year, or 5 years from today. You are a fresh person. You are a person who has the ability to make new decisions. You are someone that is in control of your life. You are someone that with one decision at a time can shape yourself into something that is outstanding. Whether it is physically outstanding, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, in your career and your relationships, you can become outstanding. You can become somebody that is always exceeding expectations. You can go from needing improvement to meeting expectations, to often exceeding expectations, and then becoming that person who is always exceeding expectations. You're in control of that, based on the choices and decisions that you make every single day. I hope that you enjoyed our time together today. I hope that you gained new knowledge, new skill even, maybe even a new direction, a new mindset. If this is your first time watching the show, we'd love to give you a free gift. It's our book, First Steps to Wealth. The reason why I'd like you to see it from the side, it's an inch thick. It's almost 300 pages, step by step, how you can form yourself into an outstanding individual, someone that people are coming to for advice because they admire your relationships at home as well as at work, because they admire how you have peace of mind because you've learned how through this book and the training that we have available on our website, how to accumulate wealth, how to do great things for people who need great things to happen in their life, as well as somebody who is not physically exhausted, puffed out, lazy, sitting on the couch. That's not your calling. The couch and all the entertainment is not your calling. You're put on this earth to do something great. In fact, why don't you join us in this great thing that we're doing with building 1,000 homes for the extreme poor in the world? We're already at over 500 homes in the last year and a half that we've managed to put the money together to build. We've got less than 500 left, and we have a year and a half left. Why don't you join us on this adventure? Do something outstanding with your life. Go to kingsransom.org. Again, that's kingsransom.org. You'll see it right on the homepage, 1,000 homes. We're going to transform a nation. Click on that. You'll come to a page where you'll see a huge community of people just like you, hardworking people who've joined this adventure, and their lives have been so blessed as a direct result. I hope that you enjoyed today's program. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.